expand it to the west end of Providence or other districts within the city?
If you could put an intervention in place and it could be clearly shown to work, yes. I mean, Rhode Island does a lot. I feel like I'm really bashing Rhode Island, but they do a wonderful thing that every year they have the Kids Count conference. You heard about that thing, that big book they come out with? I mean, they have done some great things to look at the data for the children of Rhode Island. So they know there's a lot of data out there that people can talk to you about. It's just what you do with that data and how you apply that data, maybe. But I think that there are committed people in this state, and it's a small enough state. You should be able to get something like this going. So yes, the answer to that, I think, is yes. If you could show success in the south end, which would be the end to start with, I would think, then I think you can show success elsewhere.
And who are these leaders that might be most supportive of addressing this?
I think first would be probably the state reps from the areas that we're talking about. That's number one. I think the governor directly, because I think she's a good person who cares about the young people of her state, the mayor's office too, people particularly in the education divisions of the governor's office, the mayor's office, and those most interested in the state legislature in education, and to identify those, that would be the group to go after, I would think. Also, people in the education system here too, the teachers and supervisors, I guess. And never forget pediatricians.
Yes.
We're always willing to go out and advocate if they can,
Are there any leaders who might oppose addressing this issue or maybe prioritize other issues?
Yes, I think there are definitely some anyway. I don't know if there are many, but there's some because they have their own agenda that they feel is important. That's different from what we're talking about.
Yes. All right, for the next set of questions, this is addressing the community climate and try to keep in mind what you perceive that the community members feel versus personal opinion. How much of a priority is this issue to the actual community members of your area and within Providence? So how much do they prioritize obesity for their own households?
Not very much.
Okay. And could you expand on that? In other words, are there other issues that they're prioritizing, maybe thinking back to social determinants of health or other issues back at home?
I mean, I think you sort of said
Yeah, I mean, I just think they don't even care to think about it. They don't think about it. They simply don't. That question would be anathema to them. They just, to them, it's just, how can I get by day to day? And how can I get some money and I'll get my kids off to school. Here's a point. Many of the patients that I see, when I ask the parents what school they go to, the parents don't know.
Really?
They don't know what school they go to. They've never been. They don't know where the school's located. So that is an answer to your question.
Wow.
And many whose children have a individual education plan because of special needs, most of them cannot answer this question. All right, mother, what does the individual education plan do for your child? The answer is, it helps them. Okay, how does it help them? They can't answer.
So, again, I'm going to go through another list, specifically addressing community members and how they might be able to show their support. And going back to our set of responses, how many of the community members specifically do you feel would passively support community efforts?
Passively support? Many, if it was put to them in a clear way, that it would show benefit.
Okay.
I mean, I think these folks would give at least lip service to supporting something like that. But it would have to be put right out in front of them and be very easy to access.
And how many might participate in developing or implementing efforts to maybe help with part of the programming or helping?
A few. Again, in any population of people, you've got the majority who just kind of sit back and are content to let others take the lead. And there are some magnificent families that we have who would do that. There are some really terrific people, that we say that are really doing the best they can in difficult circumstances. And those people are terrific. I mean, they inspire me. So I wish we had more of them out there. But there are those kinds of people in any group, in any population. Even in the black hole of Calcutta, there's great people in there who are doing the best they can.
And how many would be willing to pay more, for example, in taxes to fund efforts?
Well,
It's a tough one.
if they think of those who were working legally and paying taxes, if they could be shown a clear benefit to them and their neighbors, then I would say many of those who are working legally, paying taxes, and can recognize a community benefit. So that's kind of hedging the answer there. I mean, maybe in reality it's just some, but I think many who have that particular quality of working and trying to be responsible, I think they would.
They would see it. And about how many community members would support expanding efforts to address obesity?
Some.
Okay.
I'm just amazed at the number of families wherein the obesity is so bad, but they just, or the potential obesity in your age group is so bad, but it's just hard to communicate that it's a real issue.
Right.
It just isn't. It's just very hard to say, this is a problem, and he's always eating, and that's just the way it is. You know, it's just, it's probably one of the more frustrating aspects of our day, is that this inability of us, it seems, to really communicate directly how to, that this is a problem, and to try to look down the road and see it as a greater problem. I just think sometimes they think I'm lecturing them, and they really just wish I would stop.
Do you think it's an image misconception, maybe?
Do you mean, like, because families think it's healthy to be heavier?
Sometimes some cultures think it's
It could be.
healthier.
That could be part. I mean, I think the reasons are grounded in culture, but also grounded in poverty, grounded in lack of education. I mean, that's kind of a multifactorial answer there, I think.
So next set of questions will be addressing the knowledge about this issue, and on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is no knowledge and 10 is detailed knowledge, how much do you think that community members know and understand about obesity? So if you had to score their knowledge level from 1 to 10.
3.
Okay. And why do you choose that response? Does it go back on education
Yeah.
we were talking about
They're
earlier?
the things we spoke
Okay.
about, yeah.
Okay.
And also, again, poverty of motivation, poverty of inspiration. There's not really the motivation to know.
Yep.
It's just... Just let me put food in the house, let me have my child eat, and let me get through my day.
Do you feel that community members know nothing, a little, some, or a lot about the signs and symptoms of childhood obesity?
They know something, I think. I mean, you can call to their attention and look. I mean, I think everybody has heard enough now who's lived in the country for 6 months or more has heard some mention about our concerns about weight in this country and improper eating. So I might say some. It's just the inability to respond to that knowledge that seems to be very prevalent.
How about the causes of childhood obesity?
Some.
The consequences?
Really understand the consequences? Few.
How about how often childhood obesity occurs locally or the prevalence within our district?
Some.
How about their knowledge regarding what can be done in terms of prevention? So keeping their child from becoming at a risk of being obese or overweight.
To really know it, to really understand it, I think just a few.
And how about the effects of obesity on family and friends?
That's an interesting one. That requires a lot of insight. I'm going to say few.
What might be some misconceptions about community members regarding their knowledge, why it occurs, the prevalence within our community, or how they can prevent it? Are there any misconceptions out there, do you think?